We are all set then for the real deal. You think this is the real deal? If you are an avid follower of cricket, you love the T20s, the ODIs, you were delighted that the IPL kick-started cricket for India by and large in these tough times. But now India resumed Test cricket and they resume it down under against Australia in what will be their first ever day-night test away from home. It's at the Adelaide Oval. It's a perfect setting. It's the ideal time, other than the 5 or 6 a.m.s that Akash Chopra is more acquainted to than I am, because the day-night test promises to be an absolute cracker. Akash, very good morning. There's something about the start of a test series, especially in Australia, that just gets you a bit excited.
It does, absolutely. And yes, you're absolutely right. On the second count as well, Ronak is always right. 9:30 start suits everyone. Gone are the days when I used to wake up at 5:30. But anyhow, 9:30, we'll take it. Pink ball test match, we'll take it with both hands. But then when you talk about India playing down under, this is the biggest rivalry. This is the biggest bastion that you want to conquer. And you did it last time around. Before that, you came close, you tried very hard, and it was always was the yardstick of your success. See, while growing up as a cricketer, we all remember waking up in these VRs, watching India play, India getting beaten, and all of that. But at that point in time, it left an impression that, if you were to be counted, you got to go there and score runs, win matches, take wickets. And that is when you actually play. That is when you get recognized for playing cricket. You get acknowledged. You get appreciated. And this is what it is. So the first test match starts today.
Yeah, when you refer to that series, just a couple of years back, interesting times. We go twice in 3 years to Australia. But before, even up until that series, when we did the preview ahead of the first test, then I still remember saying the conversations always around this intimidation on Australia. India have never won there. It's unconquered territory. All of a sudden, 2 years later, India have won their historic series. A lot of those players from 2018 feature in this squad. Is there a difference in how the teams, especially the Indian team, would approach this?
100%. I can actually just recount from my experience. So when I was boarding the flight to Australia in 2003 and 4, I remember reading an article which quoted one of the BCCI officials that why is the Indian team going? We'll be beaten 4-0. And it was nothing out of the ordinary. You, of course, didn't like it, but then you took it with a pinch of salt because that's what the history told you. So now it was up to you to change the trend, do something different, so that people start talking differently. But nothing succeeds like success. Once you've tasted that success, once you know that this can be done, it's like that 4-minute mile on a very different count, because once it's broken, it can be achieved. Before this, you always came close, but you never had enough to go that final yard. But this team has done that, and it will be fresh in their memories for two reasons. One, of course, they created history. Two, it happened only a couple of years ago. It used to happen like once in 4 years. These memories are really fresh, and you've not played a lot of international cricket between the two tours. 100%. India will be buoyant. They'll be confident. They will be backing themselves. But all that would not matter from ball one. It is about who plays better cricket.
Absolutely. And they'll back themselves perhaps that slight percentage more after winning what we do believe is an important toss in these day-night test matches in Adelaide. Australia have a formidable record, an invincible record at the Adelaide Oval in pink ball test cricket. But India have started well. For all of Virat Kohli's woes of winning tosses in bilateral games or even in white ball games, he's won an important toss, Akash, by India batting first today.
Two things, yes. So one, winning the toss and electing to bat first, because what we have seen so far in terms of the numbers, it's 50-50. So you win batting first, you win equal number of times bowling first. When you see a lot of grass on the surface, the pink ball is going to dart around. Sometimes there is also a temptation that let's bowl first. Look at the Australian batting lineup. You can topple over at least the top order to begin with, and then see the two openers are makeshift openers. So why not take that chance? You have world-class bowling attack. But I'm happy that India is elected to bat first after winning the toss. Begin is half the job done, but it's only half the job done, because the advantage of winning the toss will now rely on how you play in the first session. If you're 5 down, then it doesn't matter whether Kohli called it right or wrong. It's all about playing it right, and that will be in front of us in just a couple of hours.
All eyes now on Prithvi Shaw, the opener. And if you work in our line of work, what Akash and we do, We scramble for pen and paper at these tosses to write down exactly what India have done with their team. They've given us a little bit of comfort and relief by announcing in rather unprecedented fashion their 11, not just a 12 or a 13, but they're playing 11 on the eve of the test. And you've got Mayank Agarwal and Prithvi Shaw, who edges out Shubman Gill. Cheteshwar Pujara and Kohli and Rahane all picked themselves. Vihari at 6. Riddhiman Saha, the preferred keeper to Rishabh Pant. Ashwin in a one-spinner, three-seamer attack that sees Umesh Yadav, Pip, Navdeep Saini and Mohammad Siraj. Shami and Bumrah were always going to start. Now, before I even get to this 11, I want to know what it says to you that India have announced this 11 on the eve of the test, if it's anything at all. This is unusual? We've not seen it before.
See, it has happened only a few times in the past. Kohli has started going down that route. It just tells you about the confidence that you have. You have no doubts, or at least that's the impression that you give. Once you have decided that I am going to go with a certain lineup, there is merit in just firstly telling your team that is important, and I'm pretty sure that happens every single time. It wasn't always happening when I was playing, because I remember actually a captain with a team sheet in his hand, walking to the toss, and somebody was asking, "Am I playing?" He said, "I'll let you know." So now I'll let you know, even while he was going out for a toss. So those things have happened in the past, but that was Indian cricket. This Indian cricket is supposedly different, should be different, and announcing the team is just a vote of confidence that this is what it is. All these guys are playing. We are confident about this lot. And a couple of guys would have been told that just stay ready, because if something happens untoward on the morning of the game, you are 12, you are 13, so just be prepared. Don't just have a very heavy dinner, and don't just wake up groggy. So all those things will be kept in mind, but it's always a nice thing. I'm okay with not telling as well if you have some mysteries up your sleeve. But once you've announced it, or you know the team, it's all right to announce.
No, it's a remarkable thing that you've just said. I mean, I know we said it in a little lightly, but I was going to ask you next. When was it that the captains communicated on an average what their playing 11 was? Was it on the morning of the test, the night before, the morning before, 2 days before? I can see the merit in telling the team who's in the 11 a day or two in advance. But when you release that to the public or the press, these guys are all on Twitter right now. There are all sorts of reactions and opinions on who should have played, who shouldn't have. Do players tend to cut that off just before a test match? Can it still seep its way through? Is there any downside to actually announcing this in advance?
It's actually quite interesting that you asked this, because all those years, Australia, England, they've been used to doing this, announcing the team on the eve of the game. And sometimes from completely an observer point of view, you felt that you were slightly in awe that, they're confident, they know, and they're telling the world. So it is like you're taking the first step forward, and the other team is still guessing or is unsure. Even if they just want to play it that when they want to keep certain things to themselves, even though the team would know. But this is how we actually grew up believing, as observing the game, that Australia and England, they have this culture where they announce the team and they tell the world, we don't care, this is our team and we are good enough to win. So it may have just started from there. The seeds must have sown somewhere there that you want to be like them in a sense, because now you are actually a very strong unit. You go out and you win. So why not just walk down that route? That's one. Plus, when you talk about players, they are told in advance. See, 9 out of 11 players generally know that they're going to play. Cheteshwar Pujara, Rahane, Mayank Agarwal, Bumrah, Shami, they don't need to be told. They all know. And this is the DNA of every single team that takes the field. It's only a couple of guys, maybe a Prithvi Shaw would have been told, a Riddhiman Saha would have been told. Ashwin is, I'm sure, was always playing. It was just our conjecture that he might not. But a day before, at least, if not a few days in advance, when you're preparing for a test match, you won't tell Prithvi Shaw that you are my first choice opener, and go play. As soon as that warm-up game was done, I think he would have known that it is me who's going to actually play, and the team is backing me, and that's how it should be.
Okay, so now let's get into that conversation. India are going to bat first. All eyes will be on Prithvi Shaw. And common folk like me over the last day or so were all about, why Prithvi Shaw? He's had a bad IPL. Shubman Gill got more runs in just that second innings of the pink ball test. It's not much to go by. But I do know you've maintained throughout, Akash, that Prithvi Shaw is a justifiable and perhaps even the right person to start the series with Mayank Agarwal looking at India's team. Just take me through why you feel that way.
See, 100% for a variety of reasons. One, all the skeptics, everyone who's uncomfortable with this selection is talking about his technique more than his form. See, IPL form, if you're going to now start picking test 11 on the basis of just the IPL form, I think that will be a travesty of justice, and especially for players who have played the last test match that India played. And Prithvi Shaw is one of them. And if there are doubts about his technique, then he should not be a part of the setup at all. He should not be in the test team. Now, if he's there in the test team, he played the last test match in New Zealand. His numbers are phenomenal, and nobody will actually like pay heed to it because that doesn't suit the argument of keeping Prithvi Shaw out. He also got a 50 in Christchurch, where everybody else was having a very moderate tour. He also had a middling tour, but then he also got runs. He proved a few people wrong that he doesn't have the technique to last on a greenish seamer friendly surface. It was as green as it gets, and New Zealand were on top. We were already one down, but the guy played well. So he has a different way of playing. It's just that we haven't come to terms with the fact that this is how a player can also succeed. I, for one, as well, Ronak and I should admit that I have my fair share of doubts as well.
Hmm.
Even when he was playing his first test match, I remember having this conversation while going towards the ground. I think it was Rajkot where he played against West Indies, and Amol Majumdar was with me. And I said, these are interesting times because your common sense, your understanding, your upbringing tells you that he's not going to succeed because of the kind of play that he has. But what if he succeeds? If he succeeds, he proves all of us wrong. And he tells us, there is another template of playing test cricket. There is another guy who can do things differently. Just because we don't find it normal does not mean that it doesn't belong there. So let's give him some time and let him prove us wrong, if not right.
Can you think of instances where this sort of build up to your opportunity, where it was only in sections of the media and social media now, where it's only about, oh no, he shouldn't be starting, he doesn't have the runs, all sorts of questions in the last few years about attitude and whatnot. In fact, Joe Burns is not in similar situations, but in a similar build up to this test, who's also starting for Australia. That you just can't buy a run, and everyone's talking about it. But your captain gives you the confidence. In this case, both captains have given their opening batsmen the confidence. Can it work the other way now? Can it bring out the best in you?
It can. The couple of instances that come to my mind are one is Yuvraj Singh when he started playing. Of course, he showed that brilliance in the first or the second game that he played against Australia, Champions Trophy. But then he didn't score much after that for about 18, 19 innings. The same can be said about, or rather, same is true about Virender Sehwag, where he got the start and then nothing happened. I'm not talking about his test cricket, just his one day cricket. And there came a stage where Ganguly was backing them and kept backing them, believing that, you guys will be my match winners. Eventually, I am backing the right horse because he was convinced. And in the end, I remember one game where Viru was, I think, categorically told that this is all I can do. 19
Hmm.
innings, you're still opening. But after this series, this tour, don't ask me. If you don't score runs, you're out. And he got runs in that series, and the rest, as they say, is history. Something similar also happened to Yuvraj, where you see potential, you see promise, and you want to back that potential. You look at Rohit Sharma, for example. Rohit Sharma was averaging what 25 or 30, or rather
Hmm.
actually 25 as a middle order batsman, and suddenly Dhoni, team management, they all felt one more shot at the top of the order, a different position, but let's give it a try. Even though everybody is saying that he should not be in the playing 11. You've promoted him in white ball cricket. And once again, as they say, rest is history. So these things do happen. It doesn't happen all the time. So there are no guarantees, but it's good to see when you have the belief in a certain talent, you must back that belief to the hilt. And if it does not come off, it doesn't. But what if it does? You have a champion on your hands.
I remember reading your piece on KL Rahul after he found his way back into the test team, when the squad was announced. And it was interesting that you pointed out there are certain players that will receive more opportunity than others. That sometimes it may not necessarily be the same ground rules of runs in certain formats or domestic cricket or build up. Certain players will get more opportunities. Now, I can take that. I can see why you say that about Rahul. But does that apply for Prithvi Shaw in your assessment too?
See, when you score a century on your test debut, how
Yeah.
can you argue with that fact that this guy scored a century on his debut? He also scored runs in the second game. He should have scored a century there also. He's played first class cricket. He's played first class cricket with. He's actually bossed it. He scored runs at double quick pace, and you would, whenever you see him bat, you see that this kid is special. He's doing things that others, the remaining 21 people on the field, are not capable of doing. So he makes you sit and watch or stand up and watch the craft that he has. It is unconventional. It is perhaps designed to fail a few times, perhaps a few more times than the rest. But when he gets going, it is a delight to watch. So he has the makings. He's got a great start to a test career. Of course, fell by the wayside in between because of injuries and that doping test and all of that. But now you would assume that eventually he'll have to come to the fold, or rather just get back on the saddle and start galloping. This is the time. And I really hope also, Ronak, that this is not the only test match that he's going to play. At least 4 innings. So 2 innings here, 2 innings in the next game, and then you take a call. If you now discard him after one test match, and you will only discard if he doesn't get runs, then it just shows poorly on everyone that you didn't have enough faith, you've not backed the player properly. That's not doing justice to him. So I'd say 4 innings from now.
All right, fair enough. Now I'm trying to think of whether I had this from a friend who, when we just spoke about this, said Prithvi will just score a quick 30 ball 40 and then forget himself out. Now I'm trying to think whether that's not so bad in day-night test cricket at Adelaide. If you look at the numbers, we did a lovely piece, Varun Shetty did, on facts and myths in day-night test cricket. And if you look at the best time to bat in Adelaide, look at it session-wise in regular cricket, in that second session where the average is 53. That's in a normal test match. In day-night tests, it's 33. The sessions 1 and 3 before that are 28, 29. So all of a sudden, you're looking at a batting average of 28, 33, 29, and significantly lower than what you would in a normal test match, you think, or a day test match. So is that an indication now that teams could look for 250, 275 or 300 in a first inning score at a day-night test? That could be a match-winning one, equivalent to 400, 420 in normal circumstances.
Yes and no, because it also matters. Just consider this. If you are batting first and you get dismissed not on the first day but the second day around the lunchtime or maybe a little later, now suddenly you have to start a fresh innings in the twilight zone. And what if it were to happen twice to you? It can't happen to the team that's batting first, but the team batting second can actually be on the receiving end twice in the same test match, and the dynamics are not same. It is not even a level playing field within the same test match. So things are going to develop. I think it's still developing science. The numbers are still developing. So let's hold on to our horses a little bit. But just one thing that you mentioned about 30 ball 40, I'd say if that were to happen, I'd say that he has set the bar too low. If you've got a 30 ball 40, you've got a 40, and I know for sure that 40s just don't cut it. So you need to make it count. And as Prithvi Shaw, see, you can never be totally insulated from the chatter that's around you. So he also, I'm pretty sure, knows that my IPL was very ordinary. And there is Shubman Gill who's breathing down my neck. Then there is KL Rahul. He's in the squad. He's got 5 test centuries, out of which 4 have come outside the subcontinent. And the world believes that he's a class act. Rohit Sharma is going to come back after a couple of test matches. So what are my chances? If you're realistic about your own chances, then you try to grab every opportunity with both hands. Of course, it adds a little bit of more pressure, but then live with it. And the moment you get a start, make it count. That 30 ball 40, in my opinion, is not going to cut it.
All right, let's, in the curious case of how the opening conversation for India has gone, it finds Mayank Agarwal, who himself is just 11 tests young and has this wonderful ride since that Boxing Day debut in this series 2 years ago, as the number 1 opener for whatever it's worth. And a lot of focus tends to be on who the partner would be in the build-up. But it was given that Mayank would play. He's now captain ODIs as well. He's coming off a pretty good IPL. What's Mayank Agarwal's role and responsibility, looking at what the other opening position does at the moment?
It's not easy. And you're so right that we've just completely forgotten about Mayank Agarwal as if he were, say, Virender Sehwag. Yeah. He's not. Let's be honest, it's only 11 test matches. It's only his second tour to Australia. He's played only a couple of matches in Australia before this, actually Melbourne and Sydney. Yes, only the 2 test matches. He's not gone to England yet. He's not visited South Africa. He's got a very limited international experience. He is coming on the back of some good numbers. I love the kid. His attitude is outstanding. He's got the hunger. When he gets going, he scores double centuries. He's got two to his name, one against South Africa, one against Bangladesh. And he's a guy you want to back because you know that he'll go through the ball. He is that kind of a player for the team. But is it going to be easy? Not at all. His role is, of course, to be the best that he can be. And just that is going to be challenging. He's got, I won't say issues to address, but there are some vulnerable areas. You see his front leg actually falling across. You see that the moment that happens, there are two things that open up. One is the leg before opportunity for the bowler, and your own understanding of where the off stump is. So you end up playing something that's meant to be left alone. So Mayank Agarwal, in all this build-up, might have also started believing that oh, that's okay. I'm the permanent opener. I'm the senior guy, and I need to do this and that. But the fact should not be lost on all of us that it is only his second tour. Don't expect miracles. If it happens, it's great. But he has his own challenges and battles to fight. And he may come out on top of it. He may actually fail a few times, but that's the nature of the beast. And new ball, especially pink ball, on a greenish surface, is going to be far more challenging than whatever that he's faced thus far.
All right. Now let's just have a look at Australia's 11. There were some doubts on whether Cam Green would pass his fitness test, his concussion test, but he does. He becomes the 459th player to be given the baggy green. Pat Cummins presented it to him in a lineup that will feature now a man who can bat and bowl. There's so much that's said about him. He's so highly rated, a skill set that's rare, excellent first-class average with bat and ball. It was on the back of first-class numbers that he actually made an appearance in the India series. But if you look at Cam Green in a lineup that has Travis Head batting above him, Smith and Labuschagne, and room for Joe Burns in what will be a new look combination with Matthew Wade. Just thoughts on that team, Akash. Of course, Smith and what we were hoping David Warner were back would have made this series, just that added, just given Australia that added meat, but no Warner now. Smith's there. Suddenly there's a different opening pair. There's a debutant. Are there vulnerabilities, more vulnerabilities in this Australia than we imagined, say, a fortnight ago?
100%. Because even with Warner, Warner has got an extraordinary record at home in Test match cricket as well. But then when you look at the Indian fast bowling lineup, you would still fancy your chances. You'd say that Bumrah and Shami will get the better of him very often. It's not always that he's going to come and just smash his way to a century. It's not that pop gun attack that some teams may have had in the past, but these are different circumstances. But if he's not there, of course, he'll be missed. He's a champion player, but if he's not there, then it becomes an even Stevens, or rather slightly tilted in favor of India when you just compare man-to-man marking, two openers. We've got our own issues which are being discussed threadbare with regards to Prithvi Shaw, but there is Mayank Agarwal, and there's stability. When you look at the other end, there is Joe Burns, who can't buy a run at this point in time. Looks like a walking wicket in front of the Indians, 4 innings. And he just didn't look comfortable. It's not about not scoring runs. He just looked completely out of sorts. He gets another go, which is not going to be easy. And what if he's too bad in the twilight period? That just adds more drama to it. Matthew Wade is an aggressive player, but it's always a double-edged sword. It's easier doing that in T20 cricket. It's much tougher, first, to do it in Test match cricket, and secondly, to have the same mindset, because it's a new role that you've been assigned to. Then suddenly you may want to also treat it a little differently. That it is Test cricket, it is pink ball. India has already scored 320. Now we must provide a decent start because we must see off the new ball. So those things are going to play. These are things that play on your mind when you are pushed up or down the order. But this team still looks all right to me. Cameron Green, I'm very gung-ho about him. I think he is a very good player. He's got the batting and he's got some serious bowling. So Cameron Green is one guy who tilts this balance, just the balance of the side, in favor of Australia as compared to India. India doesn't have a fourth seaming option.
Yeah, imagine the man was not played, but there is such a high reputation around him that we actually think he could be a threatening difference, especially the fact that he can bowl, he's quick, and everything we've heard from Tom Moody and the rest of our panelists on him. So keep an eye out for Cameron Green. He's not just here to make up the numbers. And just when you made that point on Warner, I don't think too many people listening to that would have disagreed, because that is the level of confidence the Indian bowling attack carries with it. Yes, they're missing Ishan Sharma, and that is a huge miss, but even so, with Bumrah, Shami, Umesh Yadav as an experienced and an effective third seamer in red ball cricket, and you've got Ashwin now, does that in any way translate into the confidence of the batsman? We don't need 400. We may not need 450. We have a damn good bowling attack. Let's make sure we're always in it. Does that sort of conversation or at least thought come in when you know your bowling attack's a good one?
See, that gives you a lot of confidence that the bowlers are there to take care of maybe one bad hour as a batting unit. I would not go as far as one bad session, because bad session could be really bad and could hurt you beyond repair. So there is a certain amount of confidence, but then the other aspect of the same story is that you learn from your experiences. The last time when you toured, there was no Smith, there was no Warner, but the secret of success was not just taking wickets. It was neutralizing Josh Hazlewood, Pat Cummins, and Mitchell Starc, along with Nathan Lyon, which the Indian batters did quite well. Whether it was Cheteshwar Pujara throughout, or whether it was someone like Mayank Agarwal opening and giving India a solid start in the second and the third and the fourth Test match. Those things will still be fresh in everybody's mind that you still need to bat. Bat 5 sessions. This game is yours. It is pink ball. But if you end up batting only 3 sessions or less than 3, then it doesn't matter how good your bowling attack is. They may still keep you in the game, but there is a good likelihood that you'll end up on the wrong side of the result.
All right. Now, this is where it all begins. Mitchell Starc, who is a bigger threat in pink ball cricket than most others, has it in hand. He's starting against Prithvi Shaw. This should be a fun first session. Akash Chopra, thank you very much. We'll join you in about a couple of hours' time on ESPN Cricket for Match Day. Let's hope Prithvi Shaw gives us a conversation to keep carrying on in one way or the other. And we will have you extended. We will have extended analysis by Akash through the course of this series. Thanks to Akash. And remember, if you're watching in India, subcontinent as well, you can catch clips, highlights, and all the action as they happen through the course of this Test series on ESPNcricinfo.com and the mobile app. The Border Gavaskar Trophy is underway. Let's see how things go in a couple of hours in India's first overseas pink ball test.